Okay, so this is let's discuss the paper soon after reading it. And we are going, in this journal club, we are going to discuss a paper which we picked up in 2 hours ago. Then from here, we are just talk about that. And then today, we have 2 speakers. My name is Yota Kawashima. I'm doing a research assistant at Monash University. And Ryoichi.
Hi, I'm Ryoichi Watanabe at Kyoto University and a PhD student.
Okay, thank you, Ryoichi. So today we are going to discuss a paper titled Increased Insula activity precedes the formation of subjective Gestalt. And this paper is still in preprint server, but uploaded in 2022, and the authors are Marie-Lena Wilding, Christoph Körner, Anja Ischebeck, and Natalia Zaretskaya. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your names, but they are the authors of these papers. Okay, and first I am going to give you a brief summary of this paper. And as the title says, this paper is investigating the neural activity during or for the Gestalt perception. So first, what is Gestalt perception? And it is an kind of grouping function of individual elements into a whole entity, or so-called a holistic Gestalt. So the idea is like we, in our daily life, we have a lot of, the object, and these objects are composed of, individual elements, and how these are, elements are perceived as a one entity. And that's the idea of, I think, the Gestalt perceptions. And this Gestalt perception is important for efficient processing. And for example, in the case of autism spectrum disorder, they are said to have a disorder in this Gestalt perception, and then they couldn't perceive the whole entity as an element. So these processing requires really high neural load, and this causes huge challenges in daily life. And that's why that's the importance of this Gestalt perception. So basically the efficiency. So to investigate this Gestalt perception, and the previous studies utilized the bistable Gestalt stimuli. And then this is used for identifying neural correlates of Gestalt perception. Now, in the previous studies, there has been 2 findings. And the first one is increased activation in parietal regions, such as intraparietal sulcus, for the Gestalt perception or global interpretation of stimuli. And another finding is that the deactivation in the early visual areas, such as V1 and V2. And also the change of the bistable stimulus is spontaneous, which means that does not require or accompany with any changes in stimulus. So the authors hypothesized that the spontaneous fluctuation of activity, neural activities, are important for switching the perception. For example, the previous studies suggest that pre-stimulus activity in content-specific area is important. And I think in the introduction, they mentioned a paper to investigating the Rubin-based perceptions. And in that studies, the face related areas, fusiform face area is activated before the stimulus onset. And another study suggests that the importance of salient or alertness network, including anterior dorsal insula and anterior cingulate cortex. So again, this study, the aim of this study is to investigate neural correlates of Gestalt perception or global interpretation before stimulus onset. And how did the author investigate, or how did the author try to answer this question? For that, they used a bistable motion stimulus, which consists of 8 dots in one screen, and 4 pairs. So one perception is 4 pairs of dots moving locally in the corner of the screen. And that's one perception. And the other possibility or the alternative is that the 2 sets of 4 dots moving globally. And this is considered as a Gestalt perception or the global interpretation of the stimulus. So that's the 2 different perception from this bistable motion stimulus. And during this presentation, the authors recorded the fMRI activity and asked participants what or which they perceived, either the local interpretation or global interpretation after each stimulus presentation. And the expectation of this, or by the author, was that first, they should be able to observe the post-stimulus activity in an interparietal sulcus and putamen during global interpretation. And this is based on the previous studies. And another expectation is that the post-stimulus deactivation in early visual area, such as V1 and V2, and this is also from or based on the previous studies. And these 2 expectations are from about post-stimulus activity. And in addition, they expected, the authors expected that they would observe the pre-stimulus activity in the insula. And this insula activity is related to salience or alertness network. And in addition, they predicted that they were gonna observe pre-stimulus activity in content-specific regions. And in the case of this study, the content-specific area is interparietal sulcus, because it's said to related to Gestalt perception. And these are the expectations or hypotheses of these studies. And the result was that the first, as they expected, they observed the post-stimulus activity in percept selective interparietal sulcus and putamen during global interpretation. And again, this is consistent with the previous studies. However, in the standard analysis method, they did not observe the deactivation in early visual areas, such as V1 and V2. But by doing some extra analysis, they found that these activation appeared, or just appeared in the fMRI activity. And also, regarding the post-stimulus activity, they observed the activation increased in dorsal insula before global interpretations. And this is consistent with the author's predictions. That's the kind of the summary of this paper. So in short, they, as they expected, seems like the dorsal insula is important, or activity, pre-stimulus activity, dorsal insula is important for the perception, and it's kind of works as an salience or alternate network. And also they found that the content selective activity, in this case, I mean the Gestalt perception case, the interparietal sulcus and pigment are important. And that's the that's the summary, just a brief summary. Yoichi, if you want to add anything, can you do it now?
Okay, yes, I agree with your summary. Yes, so in this study, in the task, participant judge this trial looks like global or looks like local, and by pushing the button right. So the stimulus is the same way. So there's no condition effect. Okay, I see.
Yes. So, that's the kind of standard way of, or the standard of like the bistable stimulus, like a Rubin space, and also Necker cubes and things like that. The stimulus are always the same, but it induced a different perception. And in this case, they use a kind of a bit, motion, a bistable motion stimulus for Gestalt perception.
Yeah, and there is no difference of proportion between the global and local.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
Okay, so before going to our discussion, as you've already asked one question, but if you have any other questions, you can also ask now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm wondering that the putamen in this study, the authors showed the right putamen is activated in the post-stimulus. Sorry, if I missed this information, sorry, but putamen is how to relate to this motion activity or in this Gestalt perception.
I think this region putamen is observed in the previous studies for this grouped interpretation or the Gestalt perception, but there's only one study saying that this area is related or correlate with Gestalt perception.
Okay, so this is my wondering in these studies why the authors focus on this area, but yes, it is just my confirmation question. Okay, so let's discuss.
Or like I have one kind of question, because I don't fully understand what the Gestalt means. I mean, it can be understood as a grouping of individual elements, right? And in this study, they use the bistable motion stimulus. And then, as I explained, 4 dots were presented in one screen, and then in one perception, 2 pairs, pairs of dots are moving locally. That's a local interpretation, and the other interpretations is 4 dots moving like simultaneously as like forming a square kind of shape. That's a global interpretation. And my understanding is that both of them looks as like a Gestalt. I don't know whether this is because like two the pairs of dots moving locally, but it suggests that there is some the connection between these 2 dots, right? And if we are thinking about like the degree of Gestalt, or whether I'm not sure whether there are such kind of measure, or like the strength or the amplitude of the Gestalt, like then I can probably say that that this 4 dots forming square looks more like a strong Gestalt. But again, my question is like, these 2 perception like all related, both of them related to like Gestalt perception?
Yes, I think I think so. Yes, but yes, in this study, a global condition is as you said, right? The 4 dots are composed the one square, and the one square looks moved. So the participant think that the one square moving, and the global and the local one is right. Yeah, right. And also the 4 dots appeared, right?
Yeah.
And individually the dot moving. In the interpretation of local.
Okay, so I misunderstand them. I thought that there were like 8 dots in one screen, because in this figure 1, 8 dots were presented. So I completely misunderstand them. So you're saying that the 4 dots.
Yeah, 4 dots.
Okay.
And moving. So if the participant this as global, right, the square is moving, and if participant looks locally, the 4 dots individually moving, right? So in these studies are different conditions.
Okay. Okay. So my explanation was wrong then, because I explained that 8 dots were presented in one screen, but as you said, the 4 dots. And if that's the case, yeah, I agree that the 4 dot scenario does not like was not related to Gestalt, because just an individual entity or object are moving. Okay. Yeah, then that's all my questions. And okay, then we can start discussion from now on. Do you have anything to say, Ruchi, first?
Yeah. Firstly, I can understand that the anterior insula, or in this study, the insula was activated in the pre-stimulus section, because this area, like the gating or something, moderate the perceptual information is in consciously and unconsciously. As we last time, or as we discussed this like the study, like the anterior insula moderate or predict the visual images, ambiguous image or clear image are distinct, and this image is consciously appear or not is related to until Insula presented in. Yeah, so I understand this result. It's first my thought, and I'm little wondering in the figure 3. Figure 3 is A is a post-stimulus figure, and B is like the pre-stimulus, right? And the author showed the left IPS in the figure B, and yes, looks like their difference, but in the table 1, the authors didn't show left IPS is not significantly different in pre-stimulus.
One possibility is that this is just some preprint, so they might make some mistakes, and that's one possibility. And the another thing is that probably we need to pay attention to the x-axis.
Yes. Sorry, and sorry. Now I are aware of this. In this figure 3, the left IPS, the difference is right the significant trend, right? So p-value is below the like 0.1, but not larger than 0.05. So this significant trend appeared, and the authors showed this in figure 3, right? I understand. And so, and also I wondering this pre-stimulus, as the time approach the stimulus appear time, the activation is increasing. This is, I'm wondering why. So this activation is increasing approach to the stimulus presented. Yeah, and one possible, I think the IPS is also related to the spatial attention. So in this study, the cross section is long, right? 25 to 50 seconds. It's so long. So participants waiting and prepare the and the participant can prepare the moderate attentional scope, like more wider or shorter. And I think the when participants while prepared, the attentional scope was wider, IPS is also more activated, and participant prepares the attention to judge the stimulus. So the activation is increasingly approach to like stimulus appear. So I think the IPS is like related to the not integrate the Gestalt perception, but just the how to say, just the spatial attention modulation. And also the Insula, where it's not, I think that's not the increasing, there is no increasing trend. So little increasing in blue line, but
so you're saying that if there are no like a increasing like trend, then it should be related to Gestalt, or if it's like a positive like slope, then it should be somehow related to spatial attention. I don't know, like did they mention something about that, like the this positive trend is reflecting spatial attention, or I don't know. Yeah, at least they also did record the eye movement. So they did eye tracking, and then they removed, I think, the trials where they follow each dot. So they were, or the participants were supposed to fix at the center across, or the center across. So when you are talking about the spatial attention, it's more to do with like a cognitive function, right?
Yeah.
Not the eye movement.
Yes.
So you are saying that even though participants were fixated at the center, they perceived or kind of paying attention to like some local things or the global.
Yes.
I don't know. The reason is, first of all, I do not know a lot about the Insula or the IPS. So I didn't know that the IPS is related to spatial attention. But
yes, just by interpretation or understanding or thought. Yeah.
So my kind of question is, alertness is something I didn't know. Have you ever heard this term, alertness?
Alertness. In the discussion point.
Or the generally speaking, because they mentioned that this alertness networks or the Insula is supposed to support or the involved in the alertness network.
Yes, and I think that this is little like the arousal or something. So if the predator is appear, and then how do we active or how to do? So this is like the, I think, the alertness network. So and so I think so also this is, I think, included in the arousal system, but it is not the equal. So arousal is like the positive, negative also included, right? And I think alert network is just like for the negative stimulus or something. But sorry, I didn't know well in this study, but
because you said that I don't know, the alertness network is for negative, like some predator kind of stimulus. But this stimulus is obviously not like the predator kind of stuff. I mean this bystander motion stimulus. So I think alertness, it's a bit, I don't know. Not but not attention, right? Attentional not the same as like attention network or
but including not same, but attention is like also important, or external attention, or
but anyway, I think the global idea makes sense. We kind of perceive something before it is presented, like the brain has some the ongoing activities or spontaneous activity, and that somehow determine how we or what we perceive, specifically in bistable like stimulus case.
Yes, it and like the preparation or prediction. So and so in this study, yes, like I think the difference between the experimental situation and the life situation, that in this study, so prediction effect is happen or something. So the participants know the stimulus is happen. So the brain activation is likely easily to activate to prepare the stimulus or something.
But again, like the alertness, you said that they a participant were preparing for like a stimulus presentation. This study says that this alertness network or the Insula activity increased or higher during global interpretation than local interpretation. Then in terms of the preparation, I think the brain like the prepare for the different perception in a similar manner. So I don't see the reason why the global the Insula activation should be higher Gestalt perception than just a local. Let's say like if we perceive well, I don't know.
Yeah, but the difference. But so one interpretation is that like the if the people or participants to state of brain activation. Sorry, if the participants are like insurance activation is high, the participant perceive the globally than local one, right? I think they also, so how to say, like the stimulus is the same as local or global in this study. So one point that right or something and also it's related to something, the attention or preparation or prediction. If the insurance activation is high state, participant likely see such stimulus globally more than local. So the Insula activity is related to the the global or integration of the perception or integration the external information. I don't know, but
yes, I don't know because what they said is alertness. As you mentioned previously, if we consider like the Insula has another functions like spatial, like a kind of attention or integration and so on. And given these, information, that knowledge, maybe this result can be interpretable. But like my, again, thought is that for both perception, the, alertness or Insula should be active in a similar manner. And then, well, let's say if we can set another condition where participant did not perceive anything, I'm not sure whether it's possible or not, and then see the activation in the Insula. And if we find that the activation in Insula is lower in the case of with no a perception than perception case, it suppose that this Insula is some alertness or still I don't know. Because I think in the discussion part, the author says that the Insula has a lot of functions and then can be subdivided into different components. Specifically, dorsal Insula is for a higher cognitive function, and the ventral dorsal ventral Insula is for what was that? It's more to do with what was something. I forgot. They mentioned something about that. Affective processes. Yes, ventral Insula for affective processes. Affective. So but
I see what you say, what you want to say. Yes, so Insula is a role of integration or something. So how to say? Dorsal is the external perception integration, and I think ventral is affection or emotion, and intra information integration. It's like the affective self or something. So I think the Insula is a role of integration, but as you said that this area do a lot. So it is difficult to say understand or think what is this area, but yes, also, and as we discussed, the anterior Insula is also the gating role of a gating between unconscious and conscious perception, right? As we discuss, as we read the other paper or something.
Okay. any comments, or how long have we discussed? Do you know? How long have we been discussing this paper? Or
Sorry, I forget. 20 or 20 minutes or 30?
Still? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, and yes, and all. And it is not a significant activation, but left and right IPS are activated. I think the pre-stimulus and the post-stimulus, right?
So I think for the post-stimulus activity, it's like a significant and kind of evident in the previous studies. So that part is kind of replication or confirmation part.
Yeah.
But the pre-stimulus activity, I not sure, to be honest. If you go to the table 1, it seems like the IPS in both hemispheres are not like in bold. I mean, not like stated as a statistical significant.
Yes, I see. But like the same rate trend, left and right. Left is also left is high activated more than right. But effect size is something the small or small effect size. Also the right IPS. Yes, of course there is no statistical significant, but
I see.
For me also, and the pre-stimulus, the left IPS is like the significant trend, and also in the post-stimulus, the right IPS is also the significant trend. Means that below the 0.1 and 0.08 is a p-value in this study, and effect size coherent D is like 0.332. But that's so.
Okay, but that's what the authors expected before this experiment, I think, or at least that's what the introduction says. Because they said that in addition to pre-stimulus Insula activity, there should be pre-stimulus content specific, or the pre-stimulus activity in content selective, content related areas, and in this case, IPS and putamen are the the areas related to Gestalt perception. So should be activated during or before the stimulus onset. Another question is that are they just fluctuating randomly, or is there any other like region controlling the activity? Because this kind of imply that before presenting stimulus, there should be like some activation going on, and it will determine how or what we perceive when we present stimulus, right? But the question is like, okay, then is this like a pre-stimulus fluctuation or spontaneous ongoing fluctuations of activities are completely like a random, or is there any like a green region which controls the activations? Because if we find that kind of region, we can control what subject our participant are going to perceive. Does it make sense, or?
So you said that Alexa like a TMS or something?
Or the question is like, okay, then this result says that before presenting, stimulus, there should be some activity kind of considered as a preparing for the perception. But what determines the, pre-stimulus activity? Are they just randomly fluctuating, or can we have, or do we have some, the model or the explanation how this preparing processes work? But I think, still this question is out of focus of this, or just out of interest of this paper, so to be beyond this, discussion.
So I don't understand well what you said. That it means that like a generalization of the pre-stimulus pre-activation model we make or something.
Or let's say this results or kind of suggests that, I don't know whether the default mode network is a good example, but like it says like there is some kind of activity going on, and then when some like a stimulus is presented, the network just changed to perceive something. But the default, I don't know, again, because I'm not familiar with the default mode network, but when I say default mode network, it does not mean that the brain or the air region involving the default mode network is always activated, right? Because it should be some fluctuation. Like sometimes some regions are activated and sometimes not. But the question is that the fluctuations are completely random. Let's say sometimes like active, sometimes deactivated, and like this fluctuation. Or is there any rules or mechanism that change the activation of the network?
So in the like the pre-stimulus?
Yes, pre-stimulus.
I think there is the something rhythm of the fluctuation, or the resting state pre-activity. And that's what, I see. And I think that normally the default mode network and resting state mode network, and the pre and just pre and pro of the stimulus, or like something event happening is this like the saliency network or some default mode network, and the salience network and the external attentional network or something. So resting state and stimulus happen, and cognitive task response. And I think there's different networks, like the default mode network and salience network and the external attention or executive function network and changing. So default mode network's rhythm is, I don't know, fluctuation is a similar or homeostasis, right? Something.
I think the point of my question is like, okay, then what determines the perception? That's my question. Because like with a naive view, or intuitively you can say that, oh, what do you, or stimulus determine what you are going to perceive, right? Because let's say if I present some like a red circle in front of you, you are going to perceive something. Based on this, you can conclude, or one possible conclusion is that the presentation of red circle determine your perception of red circle. But this result on the other study, previous study says that, oh, no, not the presentation itself, but something happening before the presentation in the brain. And that kind of determines perception. Okay, and I understand that part. So there's something happening before the presentation in the brain.
I see.
But what determines this? Like let's say if this is just a fluctuation, is this some like a mechanism rule or just completely random?
Yeah,
that's my question.
I see. Yes, so experimental condition is like different, or in what I want to say that yes, your question or your comment is not examined by the experimental condition, right? So attentional preparation or something for understanding of the rule or expectations, what to happen next, we predict in the experimental conditions. So I think really we should the lifetime measurement of EEG or brain activity for examination. What do you want to know? Right. So normal resting state or default real default mode network activity is not. It's I think not in the experimental condition. It just I agree. And yes, normally in the experimental condition, like this study or something, the pre-stimulus, the attentional brain activation is happen normally in pre-stimulus by measuring the EEG or ERP something. It's just like the prediction or attentional preparation brain activity. Normally we are measured this. So how to exclude the expectation or fail to conduct the feeling of conducting the experimental task for real natural default mode networks brain activity. Well, so I don't. But normally, when we are how to say, we imaging the different thing from this real world or something, or like the mind wandering or something. The response time is longer if we are in mind wandering or something. So this situation is that the brain activation, our brain did not prepare next stimulus. So in this situation, we can easily to miss the stimuli or something. And if we are focus on the task, we can easily to detect that stimuli, right? So this preparation is caused the different performance of performance or something.
Anyway, I think we've already reached roughly 40-50 minutes.
Wait.
And if you don't have anything to say, we can wrap up our discussion here. Do you want to say something?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Then. Okay. See you next week.
See you.